If you've ever wanted to see how different parts of your business are performing, maybe by department, by cost center, by location, but your Xero reports just lump everything together, then this is the video for you. I'm going to walk you through how to set up and use tracking categories in Xero so you can get the reports you need. Hi, I'm John. In this video, we're looking at tracking categories, Xero's built-in tool for tagging your transactions, so you can split and analyze your reports in really powerful ways. We'll cover what tracking categories are, how to set them up, and how to apply them to your day-to-day transactions. So first, what are tracking categories? Essentially, they're labels that you apply to transactions in Xero. You define the categories yourself. So, for example, you might set up a category called Department with options like Sales, Marketing and Operations. Or you might create a category called Location with options like North, South and Online. Xero allows you to have up to 2 tracking categories, each with their own set of options. So you could track by both department and location at the same time if you need to. Once you start applying these labels to your transactions, Xero can use them to break down your reports. So instead of, say, having one combined P&L, you can have a separate P&L for each department and each location. But we'll cover reporting in the next video in this series. Let me show you how to set up tracking categories. Go to Accounting and Accounting Settings, and from here you'll find tracking categories. So this is where you can add your tracking categories. We haven't set anything up yet, so let's add our first category. Click Add Tracking Category and give it a name. So the first category is going to be Department, and I've got 3 different departments that I want to track transactions by. So my Sales department, Operations and Admin, and save. And if you're adding a second tracking category, again just click Add Tracking Category. Because we've got offices in London and Manchester, I'll create a second category called Location. My options are London and Manchester, and save. And that's the setup done, so really straightforward, it just takes a couple of minutes. Let's look at how you actually use tracking day to day, applying it to your transactions. We'll start with an invoice. So we've got an invoice here from, an invoice to Hartwell Group. And whenever you create or edit an invoice, you'll notice that each line item has its own tracking column. So this sales invoice, this was for our sales department, so I'll select that option from the tracking category, and it was for our London office. And let's approve that invoice. And let's have a look at a bill. So I'll just go back to the home screen. We've got a draft bill here. So here's a draft bill from Google Ads. And it was for £1,400. Now, half of this was for our London office and half of it was for our Manchester office. So let's add a new line. I'll copy the description and paste it in here. And we're splitting this bill evenly. The account is all marketing and advertising. The department, it's the operations department for both of these lines. The entire invoice is operations, but half of it was for the London office and half of it was for the Manchester office. And this is going to give us really granular data when we start looking at reports. So again, we'll approve that bill. And let's have a look at a couple of transactions on the bank reconciliation screen. So you can see we've got 4 items to reconcile. And we've got a couple of matches. So we've received 2,700 from Hartwell Group. That's a match with the invoice that we've just seen. Now we've already dealt with the tracking categories, so all we need to do is click OK to match that receipt against the sales invoice. And there's a payment to Google Ads for 1,400. Again, that matches the bill. We've already dealt with the tracking, so click OK to match that payment to the bill. Now we've got a couple of cash transactions here. We've made a payment to Staples for $47.50. This is for some stationery. So we need a who, what and why. Really good idea to add a description, so let's just say this was for some office paper. And you'll notice on each transaction we've got those categories, so department and location. So this is for our admin department. The location for this one was London. And click OK to create that transaction and reconcile it to the payment. We've got one more payment. It's to Trainline for 284. So again, we need a who, what and why. This was for some travel. But half of it were tickets from the Manchester office and half of it was for the London office. So I need to split this across 2 separate lines. So I can't simply code it up here on the bank reconciliation screen. Click Add Details to add more details to that transaction. And again, I'm going to copy that description into that second line. And we can allocate it however we want. Here it's just going to be half and half. So 142. Again, this is travel and subsistence. Now the department is going to be operations, but the location, we're splitting that 50-50 between London and Manchester. And click Save Transaction. And reconcile or OK. A couple of practical tips before we finish. First, it's worth thinking carefully about your tracking categories before you set them up, because changing them later can be tricky and time consuming, as you'll have a lot of historical data to sort out. So set them up at the beginning and things will be a lot simpler. Second, tracking categories work best when they're applied consistently. If some transactions are tagged and others aren't, your reports won't give you the full picture. We'll cover how to fix historical transactions in a later video in this series. So that's how to set up tracking categories and apply them to your transactions in Xero. Once you've done that, you can get some really powerful information from your reports. Check out the next video in this series where I show you exactly how to run and filter reports by tracking categories. Thanks.